All right, I'll say, how are you all this evening of your time as you create time to exist? Are you all alive? Are you all there? Yes. Much better. Thank you very much. We begin this interaction this evening of your time by providing a few, shall we say, ideas to provide some commonality for this interaction. As has been mentioned, we do represent ourselves to be extraterrestrial in nature. What this means is, from our perspective, we also have a planet. We also have a civilization. As yourself, we also realize and recognize that we have chosen our particular reality. And the particular focus of consciousness that we have chosen is a bit, shall we say, more expanded than the one you have chosen, though you are evolving into much the same idea. What, again, that means is that we also are a discrete civilization, a discrete society. What it does not mean, and this is very important to us for you to understand in no uncertain terms, is that we are in any way, shape, or form better than you. No. We are more expanded. Our focus is a bit more, shall we say, linked to our knowledge of our simultaneity and more of our multi-dimensional, shall we say, characteristics. But this is not a better exploration than yours. For from our perspective, all creations, all ideas, all peoples, all societies are equal. In fact, you can go a step further. There are many notions upon your planet, within your various societies, that the idea of spiritual is better than the idea of physical, and that you are trapped or lost down here and must make your way back to this better spiritual place. Allow us now to shed some light from our perspective on that matter. For to us, the equality that we speak of between our civilization and yours also applies just as well to all expressions of reality. So therefore, since physicality is in actuality an expression of spirituality, it is equal. It is one and the same. We understand that you can create from within the framework of physicality the feeling that the physicality is inferior. But this is just a notion. And, if you will, only one aspect of choosing to interpret physicality from a limited viewpoint. That limitation, those feelings of separation, can bring along with them the seemingness that this is rather a miserable place from time to time. But the idea being that you are perfect creators. And even when you create misery, it is perfect misery. But you do not have to create misery. You can create it now that, shall we say, you've been let in on the fact that you do create it consciously. And the beginnings to being able to change and allowing yourself to change the creations within your life that you do not prefer, paradoxically, is to validate what you've already created. Validate where you already are. Do not escape from where you already are to a better place or a better frame of mind or a better, shall we say, expression of your consciousness. For it is all equal, and your willingness to unequalize it also does not give you equal access to either. So your willingness to begin to equalize all ideas will give you equal access to them. You may, if you wish, entitle this interaction, Equal Access. The idea begins with each individual. There are things about yourself that you do prefer. There are things about yourself that you do not prefer. Both are equal. And your feeling that the things that you do not prefer are somehow less or worse than the things that you do does not give them less weight. It gives them more. And it locks out your ability to transform them for you are invalidating the very creation itself. Many times we have shared with your society that you create your reality through your actions, and your actions are always corresponding to your truest beliefs. You can change the beliefs from the ones that you don't prefer to the ones that you do. However, you cannot do so. You cannot change one single belief that you have until you first own or acknowledge that you have it. Now again, this is quite simple with the beliefs that you prefer to have. Everyone is so proud to admit those particular beliefs. But it is the ones that you do not prefer which ironically provide the greatest opportunity for acceleration and growth toward being the individual that you prefer. If you see those unpreferred realities as extraneous, pointless, not belonging, obviously you will then not use them in any way to glean any positivity from them. But if you will begin to look at all your creations as having validity, equalize them, take the ones you have labeled negative, and begin to view what is positive about them, you will begin to allow yourself access to changing them. One fundamental idea that we do share with your society is the notion that everything, all events, all ideas, all people for that matter, are a neutral set of props with no built-in meaning. You, when perceiving this neutral set of props, provide the meaning. And the meaning you provide determines the effect that you get out. Therefore, negative meaning in, negative effect out. Positive meaning in, positive effect out. Therefore, these neutral props, in all actuality, contain 100% potentiality for positive. 100% potentiality for negative. And therefore can manifest either. There are certain things, certain ideas in your society, which you have been taught from childhood, if you will, are always bad. Every time you see that, that's bad. Everybody knows that. This type of thinking does not allow you in all situations, however, to glean what is of service in a particular symbol. If you label it, that's bad, right away you will get the bad effect, and that will seem to reinforce that, yes, that is always only bad. But if you will begin to even approach it from understanding that you create your own reality, that perhaps some of that creation was done unconsciously before you were let in on the notion that you do consciously create it, but a creation nevertheless can therefore be gleaned for a positive reason. If you will reflect on this for but a moment, again, there may be an immediate tendency to label something bad. But if you will begin to give yourself the opportunity to even look, you will find there is always a hidden advantage in it. It will only seem hidden at first when you first begin to look at these things this way. Soon you will become quite good at it, and it will be quite obvious. But when something comes along which you label bad, step back, take a few breaths. You may say to yourself, if you wish, obviously I can see what is bad about this. Now, let me be a bit more creative, be a bit more conscious. What has it actually allowed me to see? What has it allowed me to do? What must I believe in order to create it? These types of questions take any neutral situation and give a positive edge to it. For you are now allowing yourself to see exactly as it is how that particular symbol that you have created can be of service to you. Now, when you begin to relabel the things that you have always given the same label to, you will get a different effect. You have always gotten the same effect from things which seem to repeat because you've always given them the same label. But the first time, time that you will be willing to look at the neutral symbol through new eyes, you will get a new effect. All situations, all ideas are simply symbols through which your consciousness, in an elaborate web of creation, reflects certain ideas from itself back to itself. A mirror, if you will. If you will get the positive reason for your creations, you will, in that sense, be allowing yourself to glean why you created it in the first place. When you do that, any symbol then transforms. When you give it a meaning or label that isn't actually the reason that it is there of service to you, and don't get the message, it seems to repeat. So you can begin by looking at the repetitive negative things within your life to provide you with the quickest and most complete acceleration. For they will always lead you, anything that you don't prefer in your reality will always lead you to the beliefs which are limiting you, which are allowing you to create realities you do not prefer. Now, I had began by saying that you could not change it till you first owned it, till you first acknowledged it. What we are suggesting is that you use every situation from this moment forward to allow yourself to grow, to allow yourself to reflect back to yourself ideas that will allow you to expand, that will be of service to you. This gives you equal access to the things which you do prefer. There are, shall we say, some notions in your society that there is more energy, more likelihood behind something which you do not prefer as there is to something that you do. Now understand, this in and of itself is simply a belief. If you believe it, you can get that effect, and then we'll seem to bring much more evidence that this is so and perpetuate that effect. But the adverse is so just as well. And you can begin to use your creations consciously. Before we begin and open up this interaction for the sharing, allow me to state that what is before you now that you perceive as Bashar is in fact more than just one entity. I am a discrete being, much as yourself, with a body upon my planet. But there is another discrete being directly involved in these interactions. Has been since the first time that we communicated through this physiological channel. As we begin to interact with you, I, Bashar, will begin in this sense over the next few months of your time to recede, to pull back. My only purpose in working, one of the purposes, shall I say, in working with this particular channel, is to allow him to enhance what you would label to be his psychic ability in order to allow the communications from another individual upon my planet. There will be at some time, perhaps in your near future, another name, another reference, designation, if you will, assigned to the new entity. But what I am saying is that what you have been experiencing through Andrew as Bashar has always been a blend. And as these interactions do proceed, I am less and less directly involved, and the other entity is more and more directly involved. Perhaps to those of you who have been partaking of these interactions for some time, you will notice little to no difference. But there will be shifts and there will be differences, for it is another individual. All individuals in my society that would, shall we say, interact in this way with members of your society will always, because of our telepathic unity, sound a bit similar. We mostly have most, shall we say, of the core ideas common between us. However, because we still are exploring individuality, there will be, and have been, in fact, in the last few months, particular nuances which will be a bit different. Therefore, there need not be any type in that sense of sadness or despair at my receding, for it will sound and seem much the same. And I will also be, shall we say, tangentially, at least, involved in these interactions. From time to time, I may speak in this fashion, though past a certain point, beginning the next year of your time, 1992, it will be a bit rare. I share this with you because we are very excited from our end of, shall we say, the up and coming or the up and running of this other entity. For it allows us just that many more ways to communicate with your society through that many more individuals. We choose at this time to interact in this way rather than face to face. For what we are sharing and offering is what we are saying, the information. We do not wish in that sense for the emphasis to be placed upon us, for we are not truly the point. You are the point, each and every one of you. As individually you begin to expand your consciousness, your outer world will reflect this. It always does anyway. Simply now I am alerting you to the fact that you can be conscious of it. Therefore, as you open up to more and more and more aspects of your own personality, it becomes, shall we say, more likely from a mass consciousness viewpoint that there are more and more aspects of consciousness within the universe, within reality. So as individuals individually begin to look at these portions, mass consciousness-wise, it becomes more evident that there is more to creation than meets the immediate eye. As this happens and there is more momentum within your mass consciousness, which is occurring right now in a very accelerated fashion, the likelihood for the types of interactions you label face to face between your society and our respective societies grows greatly on a daily basis. Our, shall we say, indication right now of the most likely frame of energy is that on or around approximately or May or June month of next year, something, some symbol will begin in that way to leak into your society, perhaps from your government, perhaps from your media, but some blatant idea that will alert you that they know to some degree of our presence. And each odd year in your 1990 decade, 1993, 5, 7, 9, there will be in that way other disseminations of information. And perhaps within the next 10 to 20 of your years, it is possible for it to be less. However, right now, 10 to 20 of your years, there will be face-to-face interaction between another society, most likely not ours, and yours. Do understand, the societies that have been interacting with your planet up till this point have been doing so from an observational standpoint or an observational viewpoint. It is, or shall we say, maybe most obvious that were the intentions anything else, they or we could have already done so. And because we have not, one may assume, if you wish, it will always be your choice to put whatever edge on it you wish, that we are benign and that we are non-interferive. What we use as a criteria for when we will allow mass face-to-face interactions, for there are face-to-face interactions between individuals, is when there is enough of a unity upon any particular world for there to be some form of a mass invitation. For we will not intrude or be obtrusive. It is not our nature. We have, if you wish to call it that, a non-interference directive. Therefore, it is not in our best interest as well as yours to approach you before the invitation is issued en masse. Individually, that's another story. There is the opportunity for individual contact from time to time. This, if you wish to believe that it is an example of such contact. It is not important to us that you believe it, for the idea again is more of what is being shared and not us. I thank you for allowing me to share with you that you do indeed have equal access to all ideas, including the ability to interact with other civilizations. I also thank you for your willingness individually to begin to explore the many multifaceted aspects of your consciousness. As you desire such an exploration, you will expand. The mere desire, the mere feeling, emotion of desire is a magnet which will attract to you if you allow yourself to believe that you deserve it. Whatever it is you wish, that will allow you to continue to be who you are. The universe will always support you in that way and always has supported any idea that you have most strongly believed yourself to be. Whether that was a preferential belief or an unpreferential belief, it has always been supported. And that is an example, or a prime example, if you will, of the unconditional love of God, or what we prefer to call all that is. For this willingness, I thank you and ask you now, how may I be of service to you?